You know, we've said throughout my career, at least, Apple is the master of managing the bottom line. But in this environment with tight supply and pricing of memory chips such as it is, there's a limit, it seems, to what Apple can do. What was your interpretation of that?
So I think this fixation on memory costs is the wrong question for Apple because it just go back to your basic economics, theory of comparative advantage. Apple has had the best supply chain in the world for years. They have $200 billion of product COGS. This quarter, gross margins went up year on year and sequentially, and they're guiding to an excellent product gross margin and implied product gross margin next quarter. Now, when we get later into the year, if they face significant increases in memory cost, they have one lever that they can pull, which is they can raise prices on the devices, or they can raise prices when you get the higher memory spec variant of the product and offset some of those higher supply chain prices. One other thing that I think people should pay attention to is the way that Apple has vendor non-trade receivables. They've funded production equipment at their suppliers so that they have that superior supply chain. And I think that puts them in a comparatively much better position than everyone else in the tech hardware space.
Let's go to the product. iPhone sales were about $4 billion above consensus, 9% beyond consensus. Even the top end of the range that I saw was about $81 billion. This iPhone 17 generation has been a success, has it not?
Yeah. Well, I think there's two things about that you need to appreciate. One is the company is saying they are still considerably supply constrained. And the day that that supply-demand balance kicks in, they can rebuild channel inventories, and 4 weeks of channel inventory is another $15 billion of iPhone sales just to get back to normal distribution and to have warehouses full. So they have a long runway to realize what is now, obviously, this last quarter, 23% growth in iPhone implied in the guidance. We were at 14%. The street was at 8%. Their 13 to 16 implies another 20% growth quarter for iPhone. And they're telling you they're still supply constrained. Yeah. So that, to me, tells you that you have, again, a much longer runway with this product cycle than otherwise. And obviously, demand is off the charts. And really, it's a concern for everyone else in the smartphone space just how much market share Apple is poised to take.
Richard, demand was off the charts in China. 38% growth. What happened?
Well, I mean, some of that, if you look back, was a relatively easy comp, and but equally, if you go back to last April or May, we had to buy on the stock, and we had to battle all the people saying, "Oh, Apple is going to get kicked out of China. They're dead there. They'll never sell any more phones." You've got Huawei and Honor and Xiaomi and Oppo, Vivo. And there was this huge negativity about their China position, largely because of geopolitical elements as well. But Apple has showed that they have a huge installed base there. When they come out with a highly attractive product portfolio, consumers flock to it. Yeah. And they're also seeing good growth in some of the other products there, Macs, iPads, wearables, and those tend to be to first-time Apple customers. Now, they under-index in the China market in services because there's some services that aren't available there. But, clearly those who were writing Apple's obituary in China was a little bit premature.
And look, Apple Intelligence isn't available there. I mean, for what it's worth, no one's really raved about it, of course, Richard. But what does this actually tell us about the need for a consumer to buy generative AI products? Apple has still owned this particular season, even though Android, the Google phones, Samsung phones were far ahead in terms of the generative AI offerings.
Absolutely. And look, people are not going to rush out and say, I want the new device because it has Gen AI capabilities. They're going to say, I'm locked into the Apple ecosystem for the last 10 years. All of my other products are Apple, and I'm going to keep buying Apple. The question I asked on the call, which I think is the key one, is why has Apple been a fast follower in AI? Because they knew it would take time for people to get used to the services. And right now, they only have about 450 or 500 million of their 1.3 billion installed base of iPhones with AI-capable devices, so the 15 Pro or later. And Apple is now reaching that point where half or more of their base can be the addressable market for a new Siri or AI services. And I think over time they'll monetize it by getting people to buy better devices, but also adding $5 to the Apple One bundle for some advanced Siri features.